Brad, welcome back.
Well, it's good to be back. Thank you.
So, what about this economy? Worker pay is up. The Democrats have been saying these are burger flipping jobs and nobody is getting paid. And the management, the CEOs are making billions off of stock buybacks, which is true. But it looks like there's a little trickle down happening now, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And of course, when we hear Democrats talk about the economy, I always think about our newest bright light on the horizon from New York who talks about Medicare.
Bite your tongue.
If that's the future of the Democratic Party, then the Republicans are probably looking for a good day. But, getting to the point as a whole, pay is going up, benefits are going up. What we're seeing now is the fact that we have a administration now that is not anti-business and doesn't look to fleece business to fund its programs. Regulations are coming out, taxes have been decreased. Businesses feel, the whole Obamacare fiasco is starting to fade away, at least in part. And so businesses have a more, the horizon is much more visible. It was very smoky for so long. They didn't know what was there, so they had to play their cards close to their vest. And now they're looking, okay, now's the time to put that cash we've been saving to work, to grow the business, to invest. And one of the things they have to do as a result of that is if they want to keep good workers, they're going to have to pay them more because things are growing. And so that's, my take on why we're seeing that.
So we're in the everything's coming up roses economy. To give a little credit to Ethel Merman, everything's coming up roses. But of course, nothing lasts forever. Except the moon and the stars, as somebody once said in a song, another song, pretty good song too. But look, I think it was Led Zeppelin said that. But in any event, whomever might have said it, in times of prosperity, you prepare for the slack times. And in the slack times, you prepare for prosperity. In times of war, prepare for peace. Times peace, prepare for war. So let's get ready for war here since we're in relative peace. We only have 2 wars going on right now, or 3. I don't know. I've lost count, but not a lot of guys involved in it. So what are we supposed to do to prepare for the eventual downturn here, Brad?
Well, just because I deal with people who are at or near retirement, I'm positioning them more in income-oriented investments. And, we do have exposure to growth and to the stock market, but looking at generating it in investments that generate income and not depending wholly on growth to fund the retirement, because we have seen, due to low interest rates and unprecedented rise in the stock market, because there was no other game in town, interest rates are rising. Europe's having to deal with a lot of issues. Of course, we went through that Turkey thing this week. Volatility is back because one of the things that's helped America is that we have been one of the most stable economies through this period. And so a lot of money's coming here. And so, that's been good for us. But that's, like you said, that's not going to last forever.
Yeah. But in the meantime, let's party like it's 1999, as Prince said, since we're on a moving thing here. So
that's right.
So obviously, it depends where you are in your life, where you structure your portfolio. It's always personal. There's no cookie cutter approach, obviously. So, but in the meantime, there's still more. It looks like this could go on a while, Brad, because we're looking at capital expenditures. Capital investment has been going way, way up. And that is proof that not all of the tax cut went to stock buybacks, right?
That's correct. A lot of it went to employees. And like I mentioned before, when times are good, people are more apt to look over the horizon to see, hey, what other opportunities could I have? when times are tight, they're playing it close to the vest. They're saying, hey, I don't want to give up this good thing I've got. I'm going to hang on as long as I can. So right now, employers are knowing that, and the loyalty to employers is no different than the employer's loyalty to their employees these days. The 35 years and a gold watch is gone. People are going to change careers, 6, 7, 8 times in their lifetime.
Right.
And so these employers who want to keep the good people are going to have to pay for them.
Hey, well, I learned a long time ago, if I was going to get a gold watch after 30 years, it was going to be me who bought it for myself. No company in its right mind was going to do it for me. But more importantly, so good things happening, investment, but the market, it's kind of been stuck in the mud since January. You've got things like Tesla going on. What's your take on the whole Tesla debacle?
I've always felt there's a lot of hype around that guy, and he's got a good PR person, obviously, because he's in the news a lot. But, lately not such good PR. But, there's some up-and-coming companies. There are some companies that have been high-flying that I wonder now, when we've seen in things like the tech field with social media and Facebook and things like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when people do so well, they start overestimating their importance and reading their own press releases. And so I think what Facebook's seeing now is America's starting to step back and realize that they're not Facebook's customer. They're Facebook's product. Their data is being sold to other bigger people, and that all the stuff they're posting is only being stored to sell.
Correct.
And I think a lot of people are coming around to that, and that may have a long-term impact on Facebook.
We can only hope. Yeah, we are the feed. Your personal data is effectively the feed for the cows to make them get bigger and bigger for their customers. Your data is the feed for other corporations to target you and sell you stuff. That's right. That's what it's about, right? Isn't it?
That's exactly right.
So, and there are benefits to social media, although I think they're very elusive, and I am certainly not a huge fan of it, although I do engage in it. It's kind of like you're in business, you don't have a choice, and that's why they've really got you, because you don't have a choice. You have to do it. But I think you're right.
It also shows that there's a wide open opportunity. And I was reading about some company called Wise yesterday, and they used a blockchain, and it's a lot different than Facebook in the way things are stored and kept, and your stuff isn't stored, and it gives you the opportunity. So, whenever we have situations like this, in just to show how great this capitalist economy is, in this free society or relatively free society, is there's opportunities for somebody to knock Facebook off their perch with a different type of platform. I mean, I can remember 10, 12 years ago when it was MySpace.
My what?
And
what?
Boom.
What
Facebook
the heck?
came in.
I never heard of MySpace. Jeez. Oh, God, I never heard of them. When was their thing? They were Here Today, acquired by the holdings of Fox News, the same owner, Rupert Murdoch's group. And the next thing you know, they were dead as a doornail. They're gone. I mean, they're still there, but nobody in their right mind uses it. And all social media platforms will go through a similar process, if you will, because that's what makes America great, right?
Yes, like what's happening to cable TV now. Cable TV looked at us as a cash flow, and they kept upping things and bundling things, and it got to be such a fiasco with, us funding stations we wouldn't even dream of paying any money to ourselves are now part of the package, and people are starting to cut the cord. And so that's why free choice in the economy is what made this country great, is that we can choose, okay, well, I want to do business with them. I don't want to do business with them.
Yeah.
And, as I look at my Facebook use, I have people that send me stuff and I get on there. I bet I'm not on there 10 minutes a week, and I really don't like being on there, but I'm keeping in touch with folks. I really haven't implemented it in my business yet for a reason. I know a lot of people say you should. I just don't like the power they have, and I don't want to be communicating with my clients while they're storing my data.
Well, they're doing it anyway. That's the whole problem. They're on the phones. Even when you remove the app, they're still monitoring your data. It's downright evil here, Brad, what they get away with. One company that shall go nameless, their whole thing was do no evil. And here they are the quintessential evil corporate villain. And it's just a matter of when they get kicked out. And they're going to be. Right. There's not a question about it. They will be gone one day. The sooner, the better. Hey, so obviously you're not a fan of social media companies as a long-term investment. Longer term, what are we looking at? Because maybe we're going to have higher interest rates, so that's putting the bond sector, really making it a little less secure, if you will. So what are we doing here? What's our best?
Well,
bet?
One thing I'm coaching my folks, especially that are in their 401ks, is really keep an eye on the bond funds, because when you use bonds, everybody has a 60-40 or 70-30 stock bond portfolio. When you're using bond funds for that bond part, you don't have the two biggest guarantees a bond has, which is your guaranteed rate of return in your coupon rate and the return of your money once the bond matures. The mutual fund has that. So you're just part of their portfolio. You just own a share in the bond fund. So what I'm coaching a lot of folks is, if you're using that in your 401k, you might want to look at some alternatives outside or whatever. As interest rates rise, those bond funds are gonna see the pressure on that, just as they have seen the benefits of a dropping of an interest rate environment that shows lower and lower interest rates, which has given them a lot of returns and good capital gains over the last 20, 30 years. We're going to see the opposite going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you are correct there. Hey, so we're really living in the best of all possible economies. It doesn't show any sign of slowing down. And what do you think is the next industry that's going to lead the charge? Because in these economic expansions, Brad, we always see leadership in the markets, different industries taking up the slack. If we're going to have a continued expansion, and presumably the rest of the world with us, then resources probably are going to be in demand, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and things. I'll give you a good example. The brick and mortar stores are dying. Now you're going to have niches in there that are going to do well, because they're going to find a niche and they're going to service it and they're going to do well. But the big, our biggest big mall in town that was there and was the icon of the community for so long is now a sports park. It got raised, and it's a sports park. We're not seeing any new malls come in. There's one in town that's not done bad, and it's got niches, and so it's there. So going forward, transportation and cardboard box company.
Yeah, transportation.
I mean, because people are buying online, it's being shipped by Amazon and other online retailers. So the more that companies start catering to that online shopper, those are the ones to look for that are staying track with what their consumers are looking at, and looking at transportation.
Right. Transportation. So FedEx, UPS. And
that's correct.
What about auto industry? Are we going to see this thing keep going, or is this thing going to run out of steam at some point?
I'm not sure. I mean, when I look at my daughter, who is very astute, my 26-year-old daughter. She graduated from Auburn with a degree in mathematics, and she's really smart. What I'm hearing from her, from their friends, they're driving less and less, and they're Ubering more and more.
Yeah.
And they're buying, like her and her husband are pretty good with their money, and they've just bought a car, and a new car, even though they had used ones for years. And they're planning on keeping that for as long as it will drive. They don't want to invest in a car. Their attitudes about automobiles are different than ours were. Automobiles in our generation were almost an extension of your personality.
Absolutely.
They're just a utility to these people now. So the more options they have, I mean, it's like when they go out on Saturday night together, they don't take their car, they Uber. Yeah. So, we're going to see trends in that. And I don't know that the auto industry is going to be as strong because they're probably going to see fewer units being sold. And, obviously people are always going to need to replace their cars, but I just don't know how well the car industry is going to fare going forward.
That's a good question. I totally hear what you're saying. I think of valid concerns there. And then you got the potential transition. We don't know for sure that it's really going to happen, but it appears good possibility. So it's transferring from internal combustion ICE engines to electric, and that creates a lot of uncertainty there. Everything you want to say about Tesla is true, hype master, everything else. But the fact is that when it comes to electric cars and the AI interface, autopilot, they are far ahead of every other company out there. I haven't seen an electric vehicle come out that can compare to the Tesla Model 3, assuming that it comes off the assembly line properly produced, which is a big if. We don't know, right, because they've hit production bottlenecks for sure. But I haven't seen anyone who was able to replicate what they've done. And this is a lot of years already that Tesla's been doing this.
Now, see, here's the opportunity. I mean, and why our country's so great. Now, you're going to have issues whenever you make a decision, right, left. You're going to have positive and negatives. Now, if we start moving more and more into electric cars, they're going to have to increase the battery, or you're going to have two cars. One for running around town with a battery, and the other for your long distance trips.
Sure.
But then you have battery disposal. And so the companies that are coming up with good methods for doing that or recycling and all, there are going to be some opportunities, because as you're seeing more and more people go to electric cars, you're going to see more and more batteries needed to be disposed of. So those are the things to look at. Years ago, I read a book by Peter Lynch called Beating the Street. And one of the main themes in there is don't listen to the prognosticators on Wall Street and on the TV shows. Watch what's happening in your community at the malls. What are people buying? What are people doing? And so if you'll look a little past the horizon at what issues are going to come from a choice being made, there's opportunities to be made on the positive and the negative side.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I totally agree. There's winners and losers. It's interesting because the bottleneck, unfortunately, at Tesla now is the production, but then also because they've cut their production standards to get the volume of cars out, their service has been bogged down. I mean, it's nightmarish, but those are typical growing pains. In the final analysis, electric cars got a lot less maintenance issues potentially than internal combustion-based cars, because there's a lot less moving parts. And the law of physics is less moving parts you have, less chances for things to screw up. So
that's true.
Tesla is not going to be gone. My feeling is they're going to be acquired by somebody, because if the stock ever comes down to earth, their IP, their intellectual property, and certain manufacturing processes they have really are head over heels above anybody else out there. Brad, we want to find out more about you